I leave that to the comments to decide. But to segue from that morality to the morality of films in general, where do you see them succeeding today? Where do you see them falling short? Um, People have different thoughts about violence in movies. People have, well, I guess people have thoughts, but there's just way too much sex in films and gratuitous scenes now. Um,
Yes. So
yeah, give me your thoughts. You're an author, so you have your own unique perspective on this as well. Like I'm just a normal guy. I consume stuff, and I don't think that makes me wrong with my opinions necessarily. But you have an angle on it that I just don't. So
so usually this shouldn't really be a surprise, but my line for what I tolerate in something is very close to the line for what I will actually write. And I think there are three ways in which a film can go afoul, excessively afoul.
mm-hmm.
And three like major ways that are obvious, apart from just having a bad story or a bad message. Uh, because a film can, be fine in these ways, but then still be a crappy film and have a bad message overall. So the big three that everybody looks at is violence, sexual content, and foul language. Placing them in order of how much I am willing to tolerate from the most to the least, I would say violence first, then the foul language, and then the sexual content. And that's foul language, meaning people say shit and the F word a lot. That is not blasphemy. I will not tolerate blasphemy. And if I hear it, and even if I'm watching a movie in which I know it's coming up and or or whatever, I one must offer reparations for that anytime it is heard to make up for it having just been said, even just by a recording.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's the order that I usually put them in: is violence, foul language, and sexual content. There is a surprisingly high amount of violence that I will tolerate. I think where people tend to go wrong when judging or when placing the line for what they can tolerate is, one of two extremes. They either pull it way far back and they're like, "Oh no, there's a knife on screen. This is too violent." Or, "Oh
Okay.
no, there's a little bit of blood. I can't watch this. This is too much." Or way too far in the other direction where they will literally just tolerate anything. And there kind of has to be there's kind of some other caveats in this where if the violence is technically gratuitous, but if it's, the way that the effects are done and the way that it is, just portrayed is just sort of so cartoonishly absurd that I'm able to keep myself separated from it, I can probably tolerate it. Like the example of that being most of the finishers in Mortal Kombat. Most of those I can tolerate because like it's too much technically speaking, but it's also like it's cartoonishly absurd. It verges into absurdity at that point.
No, there's a place for that. The film, although this is the silver screen version, I guess,
Yeah.
is
Well, when
Tom and
it's
Jerry. Like I don't
yes.
want an
Well,
actual cat on screen to get turned into a flat surface. But I'm more than happy to view that in Tom and
well, there are
Jerry and
even
laugh
ways
at
that
it.
you can do that with technically a live action cat and technically a live action movie where that's still humorous and funny, and you can
Well, sure.
do cartoonish things in live action. But
Yeah,
where
I'm
it's
sure there's a way.
it's if it's to an absurd degree where it's like, yeah, this is like the one that comes to mind is the Mortal Kombat movie because I actually don't think that's too far. A lot of people do. Um, and that's the most recent one, which I think is from like 2018, or it might be from 2020, maybe. No, I enjoyed it. I thought it wasn't bad.
Fair enough. I have not seen it as many things, so once again, my opinion
And
is
it's
moot.
a lot of deaths happen via the finishers that are in the games. So and
Somebody
a
gets
lot
their
of them
spine
are,
ripped out or something.
yeah, it's stuff like that. or Liu Kang's. I think Liu Kang is the guy with the razor blade hat. Uh, like he has one finisher where his, I think it's a finisher that's specific to another character that flies, where he has the hat stuck in the ground and it's spinning like a buzzsaw, and he basically grabs her by the neck and runs her through it like he's like he's
Oof.
cutting her on a table saw. I'm like, okay, that was pretty. And she's basically a demon anyway, so I'm like, yeah, okay, that's pretty sick.
Hmm.
So yeah, to that extent, it's like, okay, I'm willing to tolerate kind of extreme violence, particularly if it's being done. It's like with like Doom, like the violence is being done to demonic entities. So it's like,
To a degree, all bets are off.
yes, to a degree, most bets are off at that point.
Yeah.
But if we're seeing, my wife likes to say that her line with violence is torture in film, and she actually means that in a much broader sense because she can watch The Passion of the Christ, which, by the way, is actually a little bit past my line, but I still think it should be watched because
It's its own special case.
it's its own special case because people need to see what our Lord went through. They need to see the last extremes of human suffering and human cruelty. So, again, it gets put in a category on its own. If you want to technically cross that line of violence, of what is being done being really, really, really horribly violent, they used to be really good about this in uh in older movies. Like the way they would do it, they'd actually have the camera from the perspective, say somebody's been killed in a particularly brutal way. They'd actually have the camera from the perspective of the person that's been killed, and then whoever is coming upon that person comes
See their
into the
reaction.
shot and then reacts,
Hmm.
which is also a greater testament to acting.